Water is scary, especially when it forms large bodies. This rings especially true across pretty much all situations. Being on totally open water is freaky. Seeing things rise up from the depths is freaky. Watching storms and waves and other naturally occurring aquatic phenomena is freaky. So it stands to reason that horror movies would take advantage of water's inherent scare factor. All of the terrifying creatures that lurk below the surf come out to play, often with bloody and brutal results. It started with sharks and only got weirder from there. Would you rather know what was hiding underwater or live in blissful ignorance? Hello horror heads and welcome back to the scariest channel on YouTube, Top 5 Scary Videos. I'm your horror host, Keegan Hughes, and today we're going to be taking a look at the top 5 aquatic horror movie monsters. If you didn't already know, we are doing our Halloween where we all dress up in crazy costumes and have a good time. Who am I? You might be asking. I'm famous ping pong champion Lewis Table Tennis. That's right. If you want more beasts, make sure to check out our top 5 scary creatures playlist right over here. Wicked, let's get to it. Coming in number 5, we've got the Meg from The Meg. Sometimes I wonder how many shark movies actually exist and my brain overheats. Like ever since Jaws, there's been an obsession with gigantic sharp-toothed fish flying through the water and eviscerating people. Sometimes they jump way out of the water, other times they manage to sneakily chew a limb or two off a swimmer. Hell, there's even been instances of them finding their way into a tornado or two. But the most recent big shark flick took the idea and supersized it, like quite literally too. While it might not be a horror movie by strict standards, it definitely delivers on the terrifying aquatic monster. This movie is all about a team of scientists who come across a whopping 75-foot-long megalodon shark. That is the titular Meg. Could you imagine ever seeing a predator that was 75 feet long, especially in the dark, murky depths of the ocean? Well, here's the thing. 75 feet is just the beginning. Spoilers for anyone who's really invested in this shark movie that came out 2 years ago. So after all sorts of crazy underwater antics, the crew manages to snag the Meg. They caught the thought-to-be-extinct mega shark. Rejoice! But hold on. It's way too early for the shark to be donezo. We're only like an hour into the movie. Well, if you thought there had to be more, you'd be right. While celebrating their catch, the crew witnesses something truly awe-inspiring. Another, bigger megalodon shark speeds its way onto the scene and eats the first one. After instilling a sense of awe in the audience early on with the original giant shark, they decide to blow those expectations out of the water with an even more enormous aquatic monster. Just awesome. Say what you will about the movie as a whole, there is nothing cool than a giant shark getting devoured by an even gianter shark. Coming at number 4, we've got Piranhas from Piranha 3D. For another journey into the land of absurdly sized fish, let's take a look at Piranha 3D. This is B-movie schlock at its peak. An earthquake opens up a chasm at the bottom of a lake, releasing thousands of ancient carnivorous fish just in time for spring break. And they are hungry. They've been surviving via cannibalism for the 2 million years they've been assumed to be extinct, and they are ready for some fresh meat. Fresh human meat. These things are vicious. They tear people apart in seconds, leaving goofy little bloody skeletons behind. It's a sight to behold for sure. I guess spending millions of years in an underground cavern void of light full of the remains of the brethren you just consumed makes you aggressive or something. Isn't that the backstory of the monsters in The Descent? I'm getting off track here. Most movies use the anticipation of the monster to really sell the scares, but not Piranha 3D. These things go full tilt from the very beginning. They rise from the bottom of the lake and don't stop eating until the very end. And really, at the very end, they're still eating. Sure, the kills start small, but they grow by orders of magnitude. We open on a lone man being devoured, then we get a fishing boat, then some scuba divers bite the big one in the sky. Of course, the bit that everyone remembers is when the piranhas plow through a beach party. Thousands of lives extinguished. Just like that. Whirlpools of piranhas tear people apart with seemingly zero effort, followed by fish jumping out of the water to get at all the landlubbers. And the best part? Piranha did the bigger, badder thing before the Meg. That's right. The piranhas that take out an entire crop of spring breakers are actually babies. They're immature, only a fraction of the size of a full-grown one. Then, as the movie ends, we catch a glimpse of a full-size piranha, bigger than a grown man. And there's more on the way. I love B-movies. Coming at number 3, we've got the bioluminescent creature from Sea Fever. Our first 2 movies reveled in the bombastic, so let's slow it down for a second. Sea Fever is slow and suffocating in its application of aquatic terror. It really takes its time getting under your skin, but boy, when the fear strikes, it strikes big. It's one of those movies where you're never quite sure if what you think is happening is actually happening, but plenty of clues keep the tension high. Siobhan, a reclusive scientist, finds herself on an Irish fishing trawler heading out to sea. The captain steers the ship towards an exclusion zone, knowing that there are plenty of fish out there even if it's off limits. He doesn't tell the rest of the crew though, leaving them to assume that their big catch was just lucky and outside of the exclusion zone. The exclusion zone was erected for good reason though, as the folks aboard soon find out. During their journey, something stops their boat. Goopy, slimy breaches appear in the hull, and whatever's causing them continues to hold the boat in place. Thinking it's a shoal or something similar, Siobhan hops off the side to do a research dive and discovers the culprit. Glowing tentacles originating from a gigantic organism way down below. It is so vast that she cannot see the full form of it from where she is. After their encounter with these strange tendrils, the boat is freed and off they go. But that's just the beginning. See, the big creature manages to infect a crewmate by cutting his hand, injecting larvae into his bloodstream. He starts acting weird, and at first the captain chalks it up to sea fever. You know, when you're stuck on a boat, you start going a little crazy. Too late though, because this guy's eyes explode out of his head, and the more mature larvae make it into the ship's water supply. Anyone could be infected at that point. The bioluminescent creature manages to be incredibly scary while also somewhat sympathetic. It's just an unknown animal doing its best to survive as animals do. They shouldn't have been in the exclusion zone anyway. Although the monster isn't really a virus, sea fever manages to be extremely painfully prescient, as folks want to leave quarantine to get help without considering that they could cause so many more problems in doing so. Coming in at number 2, we've got the creatures from the beach house. Now if you really want to get Lovecraftian with your aquatic monsters, you gotta head down to the beach house. If an aquatic creature is bioluminescent, it probably means that we as humans were never meant to see it. They come from the deep, deep depths, and encountering anything like that is probably the result of hubris. In the beach house, a young couple heads down to a beach house for some time off. They find that a couple of family friends are there all ready to have one last vacation before terminal illness takes hold of the wife. After eating some edibles, everyone has a weird experience involving water quality, fog, glowing stuff, and more. These oddities are assumed to be side effects to the consuming of marijuana, so nobody thinks too much about it. The morning after has a different story to tell though. The beach is empty save for some strange jellyfish, and everyone seems to have sustained odd injuries. The older couple, Mitch and Jane, are acting very strange, with Mitch walking into the water and not returning, and Jane remaining in a catatonic state. Soon it becomes apparent that something is very wrong, with the jellyfish seeming to infect people, turning them into flesh-hungry zombies. They send little bugs skittering and slithering into people's open wounds, and if you don't rip them out quick enough, you'll end up as a milky-eyed automaton. In addition to the jellyfish and bugs, there's also an infectious fog that will do similar things to people's minds and bodies. Not ideal. Whatever these beings are, they've fundamentally changed life on Earth in the beach house's world. If you're a fan of The Color Out of Space, you'll appreciate this one. And finally at number 1, we've got Bruce from Jaws. Easy number 1 pick, right? You can't go wrong with this shark-infested classic. Jaws set the standard for every shark movie to follow and hasn't ever been matched. Not to mention that it literally birthed the blockbuster. Plus it scared people out of swimming, boating, and in some cases bathing for ages. It inspired folks to get out on the water and kill sharks for sport, which led to some terrible problems with the shark population. That's how much sway it had. The influence this aquatic monster had on the hearts and minds of people is insane, to say the least. In addition to branding the image of a gigantic horrible shark into the brains of every man, woman, and child, it also managed to be very restrained with its implementation of the underwater apex predator. Sure, it was probably thanks to plenty of malfunctions in the shark animatronic, but rarely actually seeing the shark really ups the white knuckle tension. That and the iconic strings. To this day, people know exactly what you're talking about if you sing da-dun, da-dun. Dun, 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 dun. People who haven't seen Jaws know that that means a shark is coming. Phenomenal stuff. Plus, Jaws stays socially relevant. Consider the implications of closing down the beach and therefore business on Amity Island versus what's happening as a result of this pandemic. It might seem like I'm reaching, but the comparison stands. Jaws will never get stale. Good thing winter's coming, that'll keep you away from the water for a little while. No swimming means no shark attacks, right? Or unknown glowing monster attacks, or piranha attacks. You get what I'm trying to say. So, what'd you think of the list? Have you seen all these movies? Has a horror movie ever scared you away from the water? What's the best aquatic horror movie monster of all time? Make sure you let me know down in the comments. Speaking of comments, let's take a look at some of your more bizarre ones from the top 5 SCP monsters likely to escape part 3. The Romanian dude says, I love SCPs. Just be careful, not all of them love you. Timothy Plemons says, I'm having pizza rolls for lunch. Make sure you save some for me, and also make sure you wait 5 minutes after you take them out of the oven. Burning the roof of your mouth is no joke. Tanya Muscatello says, I am commenting on this video even if I'm on my mom's YouTube account. That's fine. Shout out to your mom. And Laz Toth says, Happy Halloween, Keegan. Happy Halloween hangover, Laz Toth. What'd you dress up as? Michita Ichim says, I'm literally first, and I'm not kidding. You are literally correct, and I'm not joking. And that's all the time we have for today. Before I clean up my act and settle down, make sure to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe for more wet wildness. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. I'm famous ping pong champion, Lewis Table Tennis. That's right.
That was worth it. At least nothing dropped.
Yeah. They sailed a little higher than I thought. I hit the bar. We're good. They're just pants.